ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the darkest timeline. We're talking anger management today, people. Yeah, didn't see that one coming, did you? What do you do if your hobby no longer brings you joy? Can you find a new hobby? Let's find out together. Small business, acting like big business, and the struggles of running. TV, movies, and computer games are all here. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Go on, share that podcast around. Go on, you know you want. Go on, you know you want to. Share it around. Go on. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, Darkest Timeline. Hello. How's everyone doing? You well? You good? Feeling it? I'm not feeling it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not feeling it. Procrastinated all the way up to this point. Had to press the button. You know how I go. It's 10 o'clock at night. This is going to go awesome. I am in a lot of pain. You know what they say, boys and girls, ladies and gents. No pain, no gain. And I've reached that stage in life now where it's the constant pain section. Oh dear. The constant pain section of life. I'm reliably informed it's exactly how it's supposed to be. Not gonna lie, don't feel great. Anyway, enough about me. How are you doing? I saw no surprises. I saw some roadworks today. I think it would be more of a surprise if I didn't see any roadworks. But there was a digger, JCB type thing. And across the back of it, it's I think it was like hashtag it's okay to talk. And as I drove past, I was like, I like that. I'm a big fan of that. Which obviously leads me on to, if you are in a position currently, in the future, or have been in a position recently where you feel that you're not okay, reach out to anybody here. Email, social media, just say hi, we'll get back. If you don't want to reach out to strangers on the internet, you can reach out to any of the many services, and friends and family as well. Just reach out to somebody. Just anybody. Just say hi to someone. It can make a difference. It will make a difference. Bit of a strange, not a strange one at all. It's very standard this week, in the sense that I've got some stuff to talk about from the week. I've got some TV, a movie, and it is a new movie, and a variety, don't want to spoil anything, a variety of computer games. However, I don't want to jinx anything by saying I don't think it's going to take long. But yeah, anyway, let's just crack on. Let's just crack on. Now, the first thing we need to do is find where is comfortable. I'm trying a new seating system where I sort of address straight on. I am starting to wonder if I need to take the jumper off though. So, little update on the anger management situation. So, reached the point now where kind of managing to sort of wrangle the anger to a degree. I seem to sort of recognise it a bit before it happens, before I start kicking off in the way I have been known to do in the past, etc., etc., and kind of sort of do an assessment of, do we really need it? Is it really necessary? Does it matter? You know, all those sort of tricks of the trade, I guess. Counting systems, etc. I know, everybody knows that everybody's heard of it. Count to 10 backwards. One of the books I was reading had a rhyme in it, which at one part I was going to try and adopt, but at the same time I was like, well, it's not mine. It's sort of stolen. So I just try to take a deep breath and just let it out slowly and kind of try and almost blow out the angry thoughts. Drove home with no music on today. There was some sort of but the car and the phone were out of sync, so it thought it had music, but it just couldn't play it, so I had to drive home in silence, which highlighted to me that although I'm not angry and losing my shit all the time, Leon told me a little while ago that I don't have an inner monologue, I have an outer monologue. And I was like, that's not the case. And we both knew that wasn't true. And since then, I've sort of addressed the fact that I'm pretty sure a little while ago, a method to sort of stop bottling everything up and stop just walking around with all of the stuff rattling around inside, I decided to get it all out by just saying it all. And I think it's gone a little too far the other way. Now I have to say everything. I have to get it all out. So I'm not trying to pat myself on the back too much or anything, because what I have found is that now there's kind of like a day, let's say, a day where like any sort of pressurized system or venting system, that's come to a point where the vent needs opening, the pressure needs venting, and basically I have one day a week at this point where I just, what I can say is this: it's not as bad as any of it used to be. It is very much, it's almost like prescriptive. It's almost like, oh, I've just got to get it out in like a shotgun blast of, oh, for fuck's sake, kind of thing. I think last week it was like, typically I was like driving home one morning, and it was a lot of, it's just the driving gets me. And lots of F's and Jeffs and whatever else. So, yeah. But I look at it in the sense of, if you take a 7-day week and one of those days has a little bit of a outlay when I'm on my own and I'm not, effing and jeffing in front of the kids or in the house or any of that sort of stuff, then I know it's not perfect. I know it's not ideal, but I think that's better. And there are days where, right at the end of the day, you got to put your coat on the coat stand and it slips and falls on the floor and you're like, for fuck's sake. And you're like, does that count? I didn't absolutely lose my shit. And I want to be as clear as I possibly can. I generally don't absolutely lose my shit anymore. Like, as a rule, I generally don't. Like, I drop something on the floor and my response is, for fuck's sake. And then I'll try and pick it up and I'll drop it again and it'll be like, for fuck's sake. And then I'll try and pick it up, drop it again. And that's the point where it goes, where the top blows. And it's just about removing those from the equation. You can have a little laugh, have a little chuckle at it. Oh, aren't I silly? Isn't this situation silly? A long time ago, I would have absolutely lost my fucking nut right now. I had to take the jumper off. I'm fucking sweltering. It's finally starting to change. The computer's telling me it's 9 degrees, 10 o'clock at night. I will say this: I don't believe that for a second, but yeah. Put me t-shirt down. I was going to say something else, but nobody wanted to hear it. So that's an update on the anger management, as I've dubbed it. I could go on and on and on, but yeah. Had a bit of a weird sort of weight-related situation last week. I'm sure by now these updates are beyond boring, but I think I need to get them out. I need to get the words out because, again, as there's been in times in the past, I kind of weirdly on the verge, I think, of making another change, making another shift, and I think I need to keep getting the words out. So last week was weird, real weird, really weird. I've gone with this like super small eating window, just on a purely maths basis. Literally, less time, less calories. Like, you can eat like a fucking savage, but if you're only eating for 4 hours, then there's only so much damage you could do. Oh, so I thought. So each day last week, I had this situation where I was like, okay, get on the scales, and I'm like, oh man, I've put a pound on. Like, this was every day. Oh man, I've put a pound on. Oh man, I've put a pound on. Got through a few days, and I'm like, it's not great. It's not brilliant. It's not really what we're looking for. But then I went back and looked, and I was like, oh, I haven't put a pound on every day. I've put a few ounces on. It's just taking me into the next pound. I'm like, oh, okay, well, if you work on the principle of, for example, like the volume of food eaten, like if you eat a whole carrot, a whole pepper, half a cucumber, 2 sticks of celery, a load of baby sweet corn and stuff, just through the simple sheer act of weighing those items of food, they probably weigh that. So I was like, oh, I'm just putting the weight of the food in my body. Yeah. Don't think it quite works like that. Especially when you get so far through the week, putting on a few ounces a day, weight's trickling up. Not going to lie, I'm weighing a little heavier than I would like. At this point in time, I've gone back up in weight. Basically, I'm a stone heavier at this point in time than at my absolute lowest. A couple of things there. One of them is that I'm trying to steal a phrase from Maui. I'm trying to muscle up Buttercup. And being on that super low, like the super low calorie side of things, it just wasn't working. It just wasn't doable. It wasn't sustainable. The increased fasting, it was just absolutely killing all that side of stuff. And I had to kind of acknowledge that. Also, I'd had it fed back to me a couple of times from a couple of places that people were saying that I was looking ill. The word gaunt was used more than once. And I was like, yeah, but I'm trying to get, like, skinny and abs and all of that. And I think the people were a little bit like, yeah, I don't think Looking Ill's the right move for you. I was like, okay. So, little bit of a bulk for a few reasons. One of the other reasons being is, eating disorder type deal. So yeah, using all the tricks in the book, and I think really having to have that realization that it's not really working, and there are only very simple things that work, and whether you want to do them or you don't, you can't get away from it. Something that I did realize was I had cycled off creatine, and that was last week. This was evident by getting to the back end of the week, where sort of reintroducing the creatine, weight went through the roof. Literally put on 2 pounds in a day and then put 5 pounds on the next day, and was like, what the fuck? And then obviously the realization kicked in. You're like, oh yeah, of course. Did manage to drop the 7 additional pounds by this morning. However, and here's where the kicker comes, all of the rest of the weight that I'd put on over the course of the week was still there this morning. So looking at it, let me tell you, 3 pounds heavier Monday to Monday. Obviously I've done very well to get down, to lose a fair amount of weight. Last week was a loss, quite a big loss. But since the start of the year, it's nearly half a stone on, which for a little while I was kind of comfortable with. I was kind of okay with, because like I say, I was trying to bulk up some, but get sort of more of a healthy weight going on. Trying to keep it in that zone. Looking at the numbers there, sort of, you could say it's kind of settled right down. But I do think I'm on the verge of a shift, and I do think that shift is probably going to be into. I've got a couple of things that I want to try, not extreme in any way. One of them is I've been toying for the last couple of days with changing my workout, like doing a complete overhaul, and just saying, to get the results, you've got to do the work. And I've increased the weight, lifting weight, not weight, lifting weight twice since Christmas, which, I mean, we're talking like 2 months, so once a month, I guess. But I think I'm like toying with the idea of doing a bit of an overhaul and really sort of dialing it up. You can always add, but you can never take away, kind of thing. And the other thing would be to dial in the diet, which, not gonna lie, I think I've been fighting. And every year's the same. I get to this sort of point of the year, realise that December kind of ruins me. December's that time of year where you're just surrounded by like the best food of the year, and I make the choice to not indulge, to not have any, to not whatever. And then come January, February, you feel like you've spent an entire month being robbed, so you go all out. So usually by March time, it's sort of time to lock in. It's easier. You get that sort of weather shift. Spring does a lot for your sort of mental health, I think. And at this point in time, like time of recording, we're on 23rd of Feb. So like a week, not even a week. And we'll be into March, and it'll be a different time of year. So yeah, like I say, I do imagine, I get it. I do imagine that these updates are largely boring. But they're not necessarily for you. They're potentially for me. However, little drink. I follow a podcast, have done for years, and said person has been on a real roller coaster sort of journey, weight up and down and round and round, and I get a lot from it when they're dialed in. It helps me feel like I should be dialed in. When they're not as dialed in, makes you feel okay if you're also not necessarily as dialed in, because they're like, I just need to get back to it. I'm going to get back to it. And you're like, yeah, me too. You know, so it helps. It does help. I'm going to talk about something now, knowing what I'm going to talk about later. So let me caveat what I'm about to talk about. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Didn't need to count it. I could see it was 5. There are 5 computer games on my list to talk about today. So what I'm about to say is going to seem a little strange. I have entered what we in the gaming community call the Game Funk. Not official title. I think every gamer knows that there is a point in time where you can imagine nothing more than wanting to play computer games with all of your time. You're like, I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to get up in the morning. I don't want to have to parent. I don't want to have to pay bills. I don't want to have to go shopping. I don't want to do anything. I want to play computer games. And as the years go on, you start to learn and realise that is obviously a sign of your psychological imbalance. There is something wrong in your life, and you want to escape to the magical world of computer games. There are other times when you're like, I've got an hour to kill. I'm going to go and pop whatever game on, or I'm going to install this game. And sometimes you get into that weird, like I have it quite a bit. You get into this like, I'll install this, and I'll uninstall this because I'm not playing it right now, and I've got enough space to fit that, and you do all of that, and then you don't really play anything, and it becomes more about like the management of space and games, etc. And then you realise that that's also some sort of psychological thing you've got going on. And then there is the point in time where you're like, I don't want to play computer games. I don't like computer games. I might give up playing computer games, and I might sell all of the stuff I own because I don't think I'm ever going to play them again. And as any good gamer will tell you, you just have to ride that wave out. I am currently in the third phase, but it's different. I was having a conversation today with old school podcast alum Sam, saying I'm in a real game funk at the moment because there's that kind of, I feel like computer games are solely designed around wasting my motherfucking time. Every game I seem to put on, I'm like, skip to the end. Get to the point. What are we doing here? Why are you just wasting my time? And as Leanne said X number of weeks ago, not every game can be Chronos. And I said, no, it can't. And that's the problem. One of the games on the list that I'll talk about in a bit is very much a oh, we've got this real solid sort of story and it's very focused and it's very driven and it's very... But while you're here, just go and do this bullshit side quest. And you're like, yeah, revenge, woo. And I just can't get away from this feeling that all games are designed to waste my fucking time. And I said this to Sam, and Sam's like a heavy sort of indie gamer, and his answer is always the same. It's always the AAA market. Yeah, absolutely, that is what it's designed for. And I'm like, well, that's fucking bullshit, man. I don't want that. But recently, I'm like, maybe it's time to walk away. Maybe it's time to give it up. Like game companies, computer companies, console companies, whatever you want to call it, the gaming industry has made this decision that they don't want you to play computer games. They don't want you to own hardware. They don't want to make games available for you to play. It's disappearing so far up its own ass at this point in time that I don't think even the industry knows what it wants to be. Computer component manufacturers want to manufacture computer components for AI, whatever the fuck it is they're doing with AI, and, you know, screw the rest of you. It's like, oh, okay. Nobody can build a PC. Nobody can buy a Steam Deck. Nobody can get, you know, Switch 2 is going to sell out and all of this. My PC is being referred to as the last chopper out of wherever, because I bought what was, you know, in a lot of ways the worst time, but is also the best time because it's going to become the worst time. Everything we're being told is that computers are basically going to be a thing of the past. And consoles, we're not going to see a new console for many years. At the moment, we're struggling to see new games, and so on and so forth. So there's maybe there's that. I said to Leon one day over the weekend, I was like, I'm starting to wonder whether maybe it's because I've got too many games. Maybe that's it. Maybe I've got too many games and I can't focus, and I need to just pick a game, play it to the end, play it till I finished it, and then move on to the next one and play that one. I was like, maybe because I've been through all of my Christmas games and, you know, haven't truly settled on one, maybe I need to go back around again and see if one of them jumps out anymore at me or what. And I've kind of defaulted to a game. But was it the right move? Was it the right thing to do? Was it the right game for me? I'll come on to that a bit more later because you might see a bit of a pattern emerging. But we'll talk about that later. But it has prompted me the question: what next? What if it is time to say, I'm gonna hang up the controller, see what else is out there in the world? Well, like I say, I want to increase the amount I'm doing in the gym. I'm gonna try different things, try different methods. You know, maybe I'm going to need more time for it, so maybe I could dedicate some of the gaming time to that. Maybe that's a thing. I read every day. I don't read enough. Maybe it's time to bring that reading forward. Maybe it's time to pick up a new hobby. I like a hobby. There's always been that part of me that since I stopped making things with my hands, that I've always felt like that's part of my life that's missing. So maybe I should, you know, learn to make something. Saw a video of somebody repairing a boot the other day, and I don't know if like mental salivation is like a thing, but that's how I felt. I felt like, wow, it was fascinating. I love watching like really talented people doing the thing that they're really talented at. So yeah, I've had to ask myself the question, what's next? What's next? And I keep sort of trying to do square peg round hole. Maybe it's this, and maybe it's not the right game. Maybe I need a different game. Maybe I should buy a game. With my game buying embargo. Oh, I can look up that game and see if it's actually coming out yet. It's not. Cool. There's that. And it's got that bad that I've thought about buying a game. In fact, 2 games. I already own them. And one of them, it's the second time I've owned it. So what I'm thinking is, I already own these games, but maybe I should buy a 3rd copy. Yeah? You might be able to guess what games I'm referring to in a bit when we get to the TV section, funnily enough. So yeah, I don't know is the short version. What I do know is that I really swang for the fences last night in a sort of almost a last ditch attempt at sort of trying to get something going, and nearly sparked a bit of something, which that could just tell me that it was just I need something to get my teeth into, maybe, which I've been saying for months. Like, I think that's part of the problem. Anyway, I need another drink. I'm dry as a bone. Got a little bit of a headache developing. Oh, when that kind of there's not enough liquid in the world kind of thing. I've had 2 situations in the last week, I'll say, to keep it as vague as I can. 2 situations where 2 small businesses, we're not talking billion-dollar corporations, but we're going to put them in the same sentence. So 2 small businesses have come forward and that we deal with, let's say, and they've said, we need to charge you more for this thing. It's like, right? And why is that? Give me a really good reason for this. Why do you think it's okay for you to charge more? Now, big business, big corporation will tell you that they need to charge you more because it's everyone else's fault. Electricity's gone up, water's gone up, rates go up, rent goes up. The price of doing business has gone up. So they need to charge you more. And then, at some point in time, they will report record earnings. And apparently those 2 things are not mutually exclusive. They are completely different things. There is no correlation between charging you a lot more for a same, or let's face it, less service, yet making massive profits year on year. No correlation between those 2 things. So big business tells you that, and you just kind of suck it up. Now, I will say this much. There are certain areas and industries where you can't afford to suck it up. Going back to talking about computer games, there is actually a computer game coming out this week, and that computer game is one I would actually buy. I'm not going to because it's a new game. So it's going to be astronomically expensive and will probably be broken when it comes out. So there you go. But what about small business? Well, you deal with small business all the time, whether it's the corner shop or, I don't know, the takeaway that you have on a Friday night. I don't know. You deal with small business all the time, and small business is just like any business, just small. So, 2 small businesses in the last week have come along and gone, we need to charge more. One of those 2 is we need to charge you more, and we need to charge you a lot more. And I'm not happy about this. Second one has come along, and they have said, we need to charge more for reasons. And this is the 6th price increase in the last 18 months. So do with that information what you will. So the first small business that's come along and said, we need to charge more, has then gone on to say, it's not my fault. It's everyone else's fault. It costs more to do this. It costs more to do that. It costs more to do the other. Also, as a business, we're trying to do this and that and the other and so on and so forth. Which is why we have to charge an astronomical amount of money. And that's that. And I was like, so as a small business, you have also adopted the big business, it's not my fault, I have to charge you more. It's just a coincidence that I'm going to make an absolute shitload of money out of this. Interesting. So the second one comes along. We need to charge you more money because reasons. Here's a list of the things, because basically I imagine that there is an element that they feel guilty on some level. They feel guilty just being absolutely controlled by greed. Somebody comes along and says, we're gonna basically allow you to just start charging wildly. So have I. And they have. But I think every time you say, we're going to put the price up, we're going to put the price up, we're going to put the price up, people just get more and more suspicious of that. So eventually what you end up with is people start justifying it. So we've had this thing. The reason putting prices up is because of all this stuff. And it's exactly the same as you would expect. All of the reasons are everyone else's fault. It costs more for this, it costs more for that, it costs more for the other. Then they've gone on to go, look, what we're going to do is we're going to break down all the charges. We're going to tell you what the charge is, and then we're going to break it down for you. So we're going to break it down. One of the elements that they are charging more for is something they've never done. Never done. Now, as I said, okay, so what? They're going to do that going forward because they've never done it so far. So what they're saying is, if they're saying, from previous times, we're charging you more because we've done it previously, and they haven't, that's just free money. And this seems to be the biggest trick of all at the moment. The biggest trick of all is charging people for stuff that doesn't exist. If I say to you, I'll give you an example. If I say to you, let's flip it. You come to me and you say, any chance you can give me a lift to the airport? And I say, I can, but I've not got a lot of petrol. And you say, well, I'll tell you what, here's what we'll do. I'm going to give you £20. Use that £20 to put petrol in your car. And that way, you've got more than enough to drive me to and from the airport, and a little bit for yourself. Pays the way, etc. Everybody's square. And you're like, cool. So you hand over your £20. That person's like, lovely, thanks. And then come the point in time where you're like, okay, it's time to go to the airport. They're like, okay, have a nice time. You're like, no, you're taking me to the airport. Oh, no, sorry, I'm not going to do that. So, yeah, the reason they have to increase the prices is because of all the things that they do, which they've never done. Magic, free money. And you know what you can do about that? You guessed it, absolutely fuck all. Both of these situations, I have said, I am going to challenge these price increases. I'm going to challenge the price increases. For the first one, I'm going to say, I feel that we're the ones that are suffering these price increases. As a business, you are accepting none of the increase. And for the other one, I was literally going to go, can you give me a breakdown of all the times this has happened? Because you're charging for it. Can you give me a breakdown of every time it's happened? With, like photographic evidence. Because I've not known you do that in 18 months. Yet apparently you're charging for it every time. But don't forget, it's not their fault. It's everyone else's fault. No, that's not how I'm going to start. It was half term last week. It went by in the blink of an eye because I worked half the week. And the other half of the week was completely taken up, almost completely taken up with all of my daughters doing dancing. They had dance rehearsals, they had dance shows, a lot of dancing, not a lot of time for anything else. And as with these sorts of things, me and Leon went to watch the dance show. So, what did we learn? I want to say good things. I do. I want to say good things. I want to be like, oh, it was amazing. Oh, it was fantastic. Oh, it was wonderful. But there's too much. There's too much other stuff. There's too many other factors. There's too much involved. So you take your kids, you drop them off. They do a show in the morning. And then we went for the afternoon show. So we get there, we go and sit down. I was going to talk about my seating situation, but if I start, I'm not going to stop and it's just going to take too long. So let's just focus on the actual stuff. So 2.5 hours long dance show. Who the fuck wants that? I do not know. Whichever parent rocks up to 2.5 hour long dance show and goes, I'm really looking forward to this. Yeah. Anyway, 2.5 hour dance show. Fuck me sideways. I opened the program and I saw not one, because that would be silly. 2 15-minute musical theatre performances, one in each half. Would you like to guess what none of my daughters do? Yeah, musical theatre. So half an hour of the entire show, musical theatre. Obviously, you've got to have an interval because, you'd think, oh, well, people get a chance for a break and a toilet, stand up, move around. No, it's so that they can sell refreshments and raffle tickets. The raffle, hands down, one of the most... When they pulled 2 raffle tickets that were one after each other, but the numbers were in the 500s, pretty sure all the raffle tickets they pulled were within about 20 numbers of each other. Anybody that had a number that started with a 3 was really fucking disappointing because every number that pulled out was 5 something. There were like 20 numbers between 10 prizes. And it was the point in time where one of the dance teachers, ran off to collect a prize. And I was like, you are fucking kidding me. All sorts of stuff was flying around about how it was absolutely fixed. All of this. They addressed the fact that it looked like it was fixed, but it wasn't fixed. Yeah, I think we can all sense what's going on there. And we had 2 musical theatre sections, 15 minutes each. So, the second part of the dance performance was my youngest daughter coming out, doing her dance and going off. That was the end of it for her. There you go. Later, my eldest came out, did a fantastic performance. And then right at the very end of the first half, my middle daughter came out. She did a fantastic performance. Like I say, interlude. I went off to the toilet. Got a shy bladder situation. Had to leave and go back later. And then off we go. Round 2. By this point, I have paid £2 for some of the worst looking pick and mix selection you've ever seen. And I was like, out of sheer spite, I just ate all the sweets, which didn't take long. So the second half went a lot better. I was fueled on sugar, and I kept eating lollies to keep me sort of going and engaged. My middle daughter comes out, does hers, and away we go. More musical theatre. My eldest comes out and does another one, and then we've got the finale. And there was a point where they were like, "Oh, we've clocked the time, and it's the raffle, and it's that and the other." And I look at my watch, and at that point, bearing in mind it hadn't finished at that point, it had overrun by 25 minutes. Beyond livid at this point. All I can think is the freaking dog will have every single leg crossed at this point in time, because it's like an hour and a bit past where he normally go out. What the fuck is going on? Like, when I saw it was 25 minutes past the time it should have ended, I was like, this is a fucking shit show. I will never tire of saying I love to see my children do their extracurricular activities. I like that my daughters dance, but fuck me, this fucking dancing, man. I said to them, I was like, I'm gonna convince your young sister that she doesn't need to go anymore, and then I'm just gonna tell you two that I can't afford to go and watch you anymore, and that's it. And I'll never have to do it again. I was met with the kind of reception you'd imagine. I could do an entire podcast on what an absolute fucking shit show this entire thing was, but I'm not going to. Here's my issue. It's a complete lack of respect for other people's time. I had 4 days to spend time with my children, and Friday afternoon, last week, Friday afternoon, I was in the house on my own. I've got 4 children and it's half term, and I was in the house on my own. I peeled and chopped some potatoes. I had a leisurely shower, and I even played a small amount of computer game. Because it was half term and I was on my fucking own. Honestly, the level of disrespect for other people's time was off the fucking charts. At every point, when the rehearsal overran by the best part of an hour, the show's overran by half an hour, Leanne had to go and pick up my youngest daughter. And she just kept sending me messages. She was like, when I arrived to collect her, they had just started the musical theatre piece. That's halfway through the second half. And I'm texting her like, what the actual fuck? Yeah, I don't know. It'll be the raffle. I'm like, it's not okay. Because at the end of the show, there's going to be some fucking bullshit speech and God knows what else. Fucking shit show. I really wanted to go. I really wanted to send an email on the many emails that we'd received over the last couple of weeks, and just be like, "Look, here's a few things for you to go away and consider. Nobody wants this. There is only one person that wants this, and that's you." A recent development. Let's change gears. Let's change subjects. I'm very salty about it, as you may have gathered. I'm gonna have another drink. I'm very dry. Oh God, yes, that is fantastic. A recent development, which I'm not entirely sure what is quite going on. Recently started struggling with running. Been noticing it over the last couple of weeks. Saturday run is the absolute worst of the week. The tank is truly empty by Saturday morning. I can manage a climb. Can just about manage a workout. My Saturday workout is very much one of those where it's just throw everything at it until the tank is empty. But Saturday morning run is the worst. Last couple of Saturday morning runs have been mega bad, and I've started struggling. This morning went out and it was tough, real tough. One of the problems is that with like doing more in the gym and doing more sort of leg based stuff, just doing more overall, but doing more legs hurt a lot for like the rest of the week, which obviously would affect running. But something I've not really sort of talked about as much recently is I've actually dialed back my running. Got into a little bit of a rabbit hole around the, you don't need to run kind of stuff, which always feels a little bit sort of backwards, but there was a lot of sort of study done around like burning fat, burning calories, etc. A steep incline walk does just as much as running. It's better on your joints, obviously, for a man who has bad knees. When you hear the words better on your joints, you're a little bit like, So I've opted for weighted vest, steep incline, same distance, basically. And apparently, from a calorie perspective, there's very little difference. But more recently, I have started wondering if from a stamina perspective, there might be a difference. Obviously, I still run. Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. I used to run on a Wednesday. So that's the only one I've dropped. Now I say it like that doesn't seem as bad. Yeah, don't know. But there's definitely been some sort of drop off, especially for somebody who's been considering maybe looking at increasing the running distance recently. I think that could be maybe like a psychological thing, possibly. Yeah, don't know what's going on, but I have definitely been struggling with it. So probably need to look into that a little bit more, I think. That's the week. Let's talk entertainment. Oh yes, some entertainment. TV wise, me and Leon finished season 1 of The Last of Us. Season 1 very much locks in with sort of screen to screen transfer. It's pretty much identical to the game. From everything I can tell, from everything I remember, it's basically identical. There was no real sort of glare stuff, and the stuff that they've done, the things they've put in it, they've done a really good job. I can't fault them. I was worried about season 2, there was a conversation about whether we would go on to something else, take a little break, and come back. And I was like, I mean, it's right there, so let's just plow on, because obviously season 3 isn't out yet. So we decided to do that. We've watched episode 1, 2, 3, and 4. I tried to prepare Leanne as best I could by saying the game itself got a lot of criticism for a variety of different reasons. For me personally, I feel that the second one is unnecessarily slow in places. I was liking it to God of War Ragnarok, a game I've only ever played once, because of just how painstakingly slow it is in places. Unfortunately, in a lot of ways, it is still seeming to stick to like a game, like the game side of things, and that is having its issues. I won't spoil anything, because obviously there's a possibility of big spoilers early on. Leanne hasn't taken some of the stuff too well. One part I said to her, I was like, "You're struggling with how slow it is," and she said she wasn't. But yeah, it's real slow. Also, you'll have like an hour episode, which is like 15 minutes in the game. So there's a real kind of and then episodes will just like end, and you're like, "Oh, it's over. I didn't realise." Me, Leanne, and my eldest watched a movie, and it's a movie that we hadn't seen. We've been waiting for a point in time where we could all watch it together. One of the few things that we were able to do over the last few days was we watched the film Girl Climber. You know what? I don't want to. Fucking. Let me just. Is it on the thing? Yeah. Yeah, damn it. I should have just said it. Girl Climber follows Emily Harrington as she attempts a career-defining 24-hour ascent of Yosemite's El Capitan, breaking barriers in elite rock climbing. Off the back of Free Solo, this is sort of like, I don't want to make it a battle of the sexes, but this is kind of the female version, where Emily Harrington is attempting, like it says there, to climb El Cap. Unlike Free Solo, it is considered free climbing. We had to look up what that means, and what it means is that you are, yes, climbing with ropes, but you're not climbing with any other assistance. Now, there is a point where I would debate that fact. An additional piece of equipment is used to bridge a gap, and personally I questioned whether that was legitimate. Also, I'd seen a trailer for this film. We'd all seen a trailer for this film. I feel the trailer missells the movie. The trailer makes it seem like there is an accident early on and it's her road to recovery, and that isn't how the film goes, just in case anybody was planning on watching it. It's very much she is making a series of attempts, and one of those attempts, late on in the film, there is an accident and then she has to recover. The accident isn't as bad as the trailer portrays either. Still a climbing accident, still a fall, still looks painful, but just bear that in mind. There is one thing that I would question. So the rules, if you fall, because you're roped on, you have to go all the way back to the start of that section and start it again. If you then complete that section, you can carry on. There's a point in time so far through that she does in fact fall, and then goes back and completes that section and carries on and ends up finishing, not to spoil it in any way. from a completionist view, I don't know how I feel about the fact that she fell off the wall and then is able to do that bit again and still consider it to have been done in a day. Yes, it was completed in under 24 hours. Those are the rules. So sticking inside the rules means that she did it. I just don't know how I feel about those rules. End of the day, it's amazing. It's an amazing feat. It is absolutely something that I wouldn't even know where to begin with, and it's super dangerous. So, am I really the person to comment on this? No, probably not. We enjoyed it. We all enjoyed it. I would say they enjoyed it a little more than I did because I felt I had some issues with a couple of things, whereas they didn't feel the same. But there you go. It's worth a watch. We rented it. I don't feel that it's one we would watch again. We watched Free Solo for free on... Part of me thinks it might have been Disney, but have not watched it since. So I didn't feel the need to buy a film that we were probably only going to watch once. Computer games. So, Ghost of Yoti. Been playing, been just sort of, I was trying to think of a word there. Mooching through the game. It's fine. I've done like a big section where I chalked off one of the bad guys. It was kind of lots of big parts of the game. There you go. I will say this. Ghost of Yoti is the game I was referring to earlier, where I was saying, like, you got to do this, you got to do that, but you got to go and do, a side mission first. It feels disjointed, is my issue. Because of that, I've been looking for other stuff to play. I've played Ghost Recon Wildlands recently on the new PC. It looks phenomenal. It looks so good. And it's an absolute joy to play. My only issue is it's a game I've played a lot. And because of that, it doesn't really hold all that much of a surprise. It does look amazing, though. So that's kind of keeping me engaged, looking at like all the little intricate details in that game. That game's an absolute fucking masterpiece. Don't care what anyone says. So, yeah. My son and daughters have been playing Ben 10. I think it's called Power Trip. And we actually finished it yesterday. It's kind of cool. My son's finished a game. And by that, I mean I've finished a game. And I've got another one for him to play. Another Ben 10 for him to play, to give a try. So we'll see what that has in store. I thought it was good. I thought it was enjoyable. I enjoyed sort of playing it with him and helping out and seeing what he's able to do as far as games are concerned. It was kind of a fun experiment. A couple of my daughters sort of having a bit of a go on it and stuff. So, yeah, good kind of learning experience. In my search for something to play, I remembered that I got the remastered version of Oblivion. Oblivion was one of my favourite all-time games, so I was like, I'm absolutely getting the remastered version of Oblivion. Got it, played it for what turned out to be 3 hours when I looked, and I've never been back. Oblivion is a game I've played a lot, put a lot of hours into it, and I've played it multiple times. So it's not like I'm missing out. I'm just missing out on the enjoyment of playing it again. I got it installed yesterday. It's 120 gig. I got it installed yesterday and was like, I'll give it a little go. I don't know how far I'm going to go, how far I'm going to get, what I'm going to achieve, etc., 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 blah, blah, blah. And kind of got a little hooked. And away we go kind of thing. There's a problem, though. Way back in the 360 era, when you play in Oblivion, you go through a door and you get a loading screen. You go, okay. And then you go through another door and you get a loading screen. You go, okay. And you rinse and repeat. You go through a castle and you go through 10 doors and you get a loading screen each time. That was just the way it was. It's just the way it was. When you do it now, in 2026, you're like, what the fuck is this? What is this loading screen bullshit? I've gone through a door. Just go through the door. And you forget that back in those days, you got loading screens. Nowadays, you don't. But they haven't done anything to remove those loading screens. So I went through, you go to a castle early on in the game. And it's basically just a series of going through doors. You go through a door, you do a thing, you go through a door, you do a thing. And you keep going through all these doors, but you keep getting all these loading screens. And after a while, I was like, oh, fucking hell, I don't think I can see another fucking loading screen. Which is the issue that I was having with the Outer Worlds 2, which was the issue that I had with the Outer Worlds 1. And ultimately, I got to a point where I was like, I'm not sure if I can continue playing this. Point in time where I got outside and it was like, right, go here. And I was like, sure. Because do you know what that game doesn't have outside? Loading screens. So off I went out into the wild and yeah, it was like the heroin of nostalgia. It was all kinds of feels. I was like, oh yes. I remember you had to jump everywhere to get your acrobatics up, or when you weren't jumping, you had to do your healing to get your healing spell attributes up, and it's just the best. I do actually wonder if there is a way round of the multiple loading screens. But in theory, once you're out in the world doing stuff, you shouldn't be going through doors every few minutes. It was just, I'm hoping it was just that particular point. So we'll see, I think is what I'll say to that. And finally, something that may surprise you. It may not. I've been having a little bit of a hankering recently to play Into the Radius 2. It's been building and building and building. And I was like, but I had to take all the mods off, and it's a different game without the mods. And it's in some ways it kind of feels unplayable because you're so used to being able to do so much more that when that's all taken away, you're reminded of a lot of the flaws to a degree. So I started looking into it and I was like, is it possible to put the mods back yet? And when I looked into it, nothing said that the mods didn't work. I'm like, maybe I should give that a go. Installed the mods, ran the game. It ran. It was jittery as hell to start with. I had a conversation with Sam today and he was like, oh, it's the shaders thing. Even though it tells you that it's compiled all the shaders, it's still working on them. So you just have to give it a little bit of time. I'd already done that anyway when I was playing and it sort of sorted itself out. And I went off and started playing. Having added newer versions of the mods back in, some of the mods are a bit like, hey, have 10 times the amount of ammo you had previously. So where you had like, your handgun had like 30 rounds, it's now got like 170 rounds. So it's a little ridiculous in some ways. Loading the guns, the boxes are reversed. And my backpack is all kinds of fucked up. If I'm honest, I think I'm just going to put the backpack in the bin and just build a new one when I get a chance. I played so far, got so far. I was really enjoying it. However, the call of nature made me have to turn it off. And then, like I say, I got to play Oblivion, which was fun. So, yes, looking forward to going back to both, if not one of those games, and just seeing sort of where we get to. And there we go. That is the podcast for this time, and I will catch you next time. So there you go, watch into that. Another one done, another one gone. Big thank you for watching, big thank you for listening, big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to Cookie Cast.